Welcome to twoquestions.tv. My guest today is Kalliope Barlis, and we're talking about fear. Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. Joining me today is Kalliope Barlis. She's America's #1 Phobia Relief Expert. She used to be a pro golfer, and her coach introduced her to mental skills to build the game she wanted. Now she takes the same mental skills to guide people to overcome their worst fears. She's also the author of this book, Phobia Relief: From Fear to Freedom. Hi, Kalliope. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I really enjoyed your book. It's always a pleasure to read a book from another NLP person. Very cool. In the book, you say that fear keeps us from living our life's purpose. Could you talk a little bit about that and why that's true?
Right. So all too often when people have an irrational fear, it tends to take up so many minutes throughout the day, whether it's preventing them from leaving the house or actually doing any sort of activity that they'd love to do, where it's the fear that's holding them back. And so really all of us are truly here to live out our purpose in some way or another, to make our lives fulfilled. And so when people fear, it's a thinking of it too often that holds them back instead of the actual element of what it is that they fear.
Mm-hmm. I was excited when your book arrived because on the cover was one of my phobias, bugs, spiders, and all things that crawl, that are not actual animals that I can cuddle, let's say, bugs and insects. But I wondered, as I read through the book, I wondered, can someone really learn to heal their phobias by reading a book, or is it better to have someone walk them through because my book, I thought, well, it's good to have me there with you, helping you and coaching you, but if you can't afford me or you want to do it on your own, here's a book that's basically like working with me. So I wondered if it was that kind of the similar idea behind the book, or can someone really use this book and free themselves from their phobia?
Well, I've had people contact me and say that, yes, they have gotten rid of their phobia by reading the book.
Wonderful.
And so, as you probably know yourself, that any sort of response anybody has to anything is always individual.
Sure.
So long as they have one of those aha moments where they get it, sometimes it can just come from a book. And sometimes you just need some more intervention and that one-on-one with someone to actually make an even more dramatic difference.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. And so for our viewers at home, I'm going to go rogue and ask you a third question, especially since we're being so fast. For the viewers who have not yet, that maybe are waiting for their copy of your book to arrive, or they will be after this interview, could you just sort of outline how it works? How can they become less afraid? What does someone do?
Well, it's really quite simple. And for a lot of people, because it's so simple, they find it hard to believe. Because let's put it this way. For instance, when I was golfing, I created a great big picture of the target. And so often that would make me land the ball into the hole. Like the first 6 months I played, I got the 6 holes in one in the first 6 months I started playing.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's quite unusual, but it was really because I was taught how to think successfully. So that the greater the picture, the more of a picture your brain has to actually go for it. It's like a pilot who has a destination. They know where they're going before they even start, so they know how to get there. The brain works the same way. It searches and sorts for what you have in mind until it gets it. Now, in terms of a fear, what I do is the opposite of what I was doing with golf. Because when it comes to a fear or a bad memory, people have a great big picture of what it is that they fear. And what I have them do is shrink it down to, let's say, the size of a cell phone screen.
Right.
When you shrink it down, I mean, you said, NLP, that this is a classic.
It is, yeah.
You shrink it down and then it changes how the person feels. It's a neurological change, not a psychological one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. NLP is so powerful in that way, isn't it? It's so, and what you said about people thinking it's so simple that how could that possibly work? And yet we know that it does. It's incredible. That's what
right.
people always say that about NLP.
Yeah. And it really teaches you that thought has structure.
Mm-hmm.
And because the thought has structure, it can be changed purposely.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've had the great privilege of learning directly, apprenticing with Dr. Richard Bandler, one of the co-creators of NLP.
Amazing.
Yeah. And actually we're currently in the process of writing another book about how to do the same thing we do with fears, but with bad memories.
Oh.
Yeah. And that'll be coming out in about a year.
Oh God, I hope you'll come back.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that.
I'd love to. Absolutely. And so being able to work with the mind of a living legend genius is quite a special experience. But what's even more special are the techniques, and that really anybody can use them. No matter what background you come from, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much education you have. And that's why I wrote the book in such a way so that anybody could understand it and actually finish it and read it quickly. Like I've had people contact me and say, I've never been able to finish a book, but I was able to finish yours in a week. And I did that purposely so that these skills could be open and accessible to anybody.
Open source. I love it.
That's right.
Well, and the book is not long. It's not a thick book, but here, viewers, you can see it's not a thick book, but it is packed really. There's a lot in here to glean from. I've got pages are dog-eared, and I've got notes and things, and I think it is that kind of book that you can return to again and again for help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how it was designed, so that as you saw at the end of each chapter, there's only 5 steps you can do very easily to do whenever you need it, right?
Exactly.
Because I mean, look, let's put it this way. I always want to leave a little bit of the fear in case. Okay, let's say someone's got a fear of spiders or snakes. When they do come in place with a poisonous one, they need to run.
Ecology. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, but then if they're at a party and someone's hired a snake handler with a domestic snake, why not enjoy the fun?
Right. Exactly. That makes so much sense. And I'm glad that you said that. I feel like there's more I could ask you, but I only get to ask 2 questions and I've already gone rogue. Would you like to join me for the after show?
Would love to.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you for joining me for this show. We'll go into the after show. Viewers, if you would like to join us for the after show, come with us. Head on over to 2questions.tv. Kalliope and I are going over there now, so we'll see you over there. In the meantime, here's the book, Phobia Relief. You can get it at Amazon. We're going to have links down below in the show notes for today so you can get your copy. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.